still staying in Nigeria. President Bola Tinubu has been officially sworn in as the 16th president of Nigeria amid colorful events and festive mood at the Eagle Square yesterday, Monday. Tinubu, in his inaugural speech, touched on keynote policies and initiatives that will herald the start of his administration.
Our administration will govern you only on your behalf, but never rule over you. We shall consult and dialogue, but never dictate. We shall reach out to all, but never put down a single person for holding view contrary to our own. We are here to further mend and heal this nation, not tear and injure it. We shall defend the nation from terror and all form of criminality that threatens the peace and stability of our country. No provision is there for fuel subsidy. The fuel subsidy is gone.
Yes, the fuel subsidy is gone. President Bola Tinubu, of course, during his inaugural address, promised to end petrol subsidy, insisting that no budgetary allocation was made in the 2023 budget. He also, of course, promised to focus subsidy funds on infrastructure projects, education, and healthcare.
Last year, Nigeria's government spent a whopping $10 billion subsidizing premium motor spirit. By April 2023, the federal government suspended the planned removal of subsidy on petroleum products by the end of President Muhammadu Buhari's administration. The ripple effect of this is a climbing increase in cost of fuel and hardship for Nigerians. However, stakeholders in the nation's oil and gas industry have commended President Bola Tinubu's procurement or his pronouncement on the removal of subsidy.
They made the commendations in Lagos on Monday after Tinubu's inaugural speech as Nigeria's president. Mr. Mike Osatui, who is the National Operations Controller, Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, said that the removal was a welcome development geared towards revamping the downstream sector of the oil and gas industry. On the other hand, some Nigerians are saying that it is too sudden and should not have been announced during his inaugural speech. Now, joining us, energy expert Adiola Yusuf is here to bring us up to speed and, some analysis on the current situation. Good morning, Mr. Yusuf. Thanks for your time. Thanks for joining us. All right. While we try to connect with him, of course, the big questions Nigerians are asking, is if truly President Tinubu did, it still just sounds off in my mouth.
Yeah, it will take a while.
It'll take a bit, yeah.
Just like when you get into the new year.
Yeah, and you start to
debates,
All right. Well, Nigerians, of course, are asking if the subsidy is truly gone, or that was just a campaign speech yesterday, or rather an inaugural speech yesterday.
It is gone.
Statement. And also, what next? Would Nigerians be able to cope with the increase in the cost of doing business and increase in the cost of living generally? With buying petrol as high as 500 naira or 600 naira a litre, which it currently is selling in some petrol stations in the country. And also, how much money will be saved from the end of subsidy? How, sure is the Nigerian people that these funds will be channeled into actually setting Nigeria up in a way that it cushions the effect of an increased, petrol price? Will petrol marketers and those who run the oil and gas sector be able to balance out a comfortable petrol price for Nigerian citizens? These are major, major questions that would need to be answered, along with, of course, the conversation concerning Nigeria's exchange rate. Will the current Nigerian government, be able to make a decision on its refineries? Will we be able to fix any of our refineries? The Warri Refinery, Port Harcourt Refinery, Kaduna Refinery, is any of them going to be fixed? And if they're not going to be fixed, will they be privatized? Are we going to rely strictly on the Dangote Refinery? These are, major questions that we'll continue to ask And of course, before we even get into other economic policies that the current administration will have. So let's, continue to seek, answers to these questions. We have energy expert once again, Adeola Yusuf. Good morning, Mr. Yusuf. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much. Good morning. It's my pleasure to be on the program this morning.
All right, pretty scary. I remember in 2012 when the conversation on subsidy removal started, and of course the Occupy Nigeria protest happened. A lot of the players in government today were part of that protest. A lot of the, I remember there's 2 pictures of Nobel laureate Wole Soyinka and Jide Kosoko and a couple of people in the streets protesting. But of course, these are some of the people who today are supporting the removal of subsidy. So now let's talk about what, the fears that Nigerians have. Are they genuine fears? Is this perfectly timed? And what are the likely struggles that Nigerians would have if this is done?
So I didn't hear properly what you have just asked, but I guess it has to do with the situation that led to this declaration of fuel subsidy removal. We all understand that anytime issues of fuel subsidy is discussed, there are 4 different perspectives we have. The first one is the perspective of those that see fuel subsidy as a social service. That is the social perspective. The second one is the legal perspective. The third one is the political perspective. But the fourth one is the economic perspective. So anytime a certain government tries to remove subsidy, there is this, debate among people holding those 4 perspectives so dearly to their chest. Let's quickly talk about those perspectives so that it will give a clearer understanding to Nigerians listening to us. The first perspective are those that hold it, to their chest that fuel subsidy is a social service. And you won't blame them, because to them, Nigeria, as a crude oil producing country, should have its refined product, as a social service to the people. There shouldn't be a situation where we need to kill for fuel. There shouldn't be a situation we need to, buy fuel at a price that is, higher and all that. So they see fuel subsidy as a social service. That is number one. Then number two, those that, are of the political perspective, are those ones, anytime they want to go to poll, they promise Nigerians, they want to tell Nigerians what they usually want to hear. Some of them will tell you that fuel subsidy will be removed once they step their foot on the power. The second, set of those people will tell you that they won't remove subsidy because that at that point, that is what the people want to hear. And then the third people with different perspective are those with legal perspective to issue of fuel subsidy. To those ones, once former President Muhammad Buhari assented to the bill, petroleum industry bill that time, and turned it into an act, that act has criminalized continuous payment of subsidy removal. Even though some people will still argue that a committee was set up for implementation of that certain part of the act, that is still illegal for any government to go ahead and pay subsidy in as much as that has been criminalized or turned illegal by the Petroleum Industry Act. Then the last people, on that perspective chain are those with business understanding to this issue. It is understood that trillions of naira are being paid as subsidy removal. As subsidy. And you will see that if you want to place it side by side with real effect on Nigerians, you will see that we are borrowing money to pay this subsidy, and they will tell you that government has no business in business. If we will continue to pay subsidy, the real cause of issues in downstream sector, that is inefficiency in production by refineries. All those refineries are not working up to this moment. They will not end because some people will continue to feed fat on the subsidy. So those ones believe that in as much as any government desire progress, growth, the continuous payment of subsidy should be stopped. And that is what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu did yesterday by ensuring that the first policy statement he made was the removal of that subsidy. But you will understand that a policy statement like that, will carry serious weight because people will immediately react to it. Or like when he was talking about that during his, campaign, immediately he mentioned that yesterday, some certain marketers started shutting their gates against, motorists, expecting that, there's going to be a surge in the price of, the product and
Engineer Yusuf,
profiteer by ensuring
I'm glad that you've mentioned this because this is, where I want to start the next question to. There are some who have argued that whilst they understand that this is a very important mission or a very important decision to take, but in a country where 133 million Nigerians are living in multi-dimensional poverty, a country that is impoverished to a certain extent, do you think that there could have been a way around how this announcement would have been made to reduce the hardship that it would cause a number of Nigerians? We've seen the queues have resurfaced. People are starting to hoard fuel. Edo State governor has announced that any petrol station that is caught hoarding fuel, that they would have their rights to the land they're using on, the rights to the land being revoked. So we're seeing that the governments are trying now to mitigate the harshness, but it is happening. Fuel is selling between 600 to 800 naira in some parts of the country. Is there any other way in which this announcement could have been made?
Okay, truth of the matter is that anything that comes from the president, everyone wants to, look at it or do personal interpretation to it. And a fact of this matter is that this is still the same cycle that we usually travel. You remember that during former President Goodluck Jonathan, he made the announcement, and there was this same reaction. The first thing that would happen is the market will try to adjust to it, and that was what the marketers did. And immediately we hear that consumers too try to adjust to any policy statement. And actually people that had tank yesterday wanted to go to the filling station to fill up the tank. And there is this panic buying immediately that announcement was made. And now to talk about whether that is the right way to make that announcement, I think we'll keep postponing the doomsday. There is no time that is right, quote and unquote, to announce subsidy removal. If you want to base our argument on the reaction of the market to that policy statement, you will see that no matter the time that announcement is made, there will be same reaction to it. Now, there should be, talks about solutions. Because normally, those of us that understand the market very well, we understand that beyond that policy statement, the president should, make some clarification because his administration, the benchmark for his administration success or otherwise, starts immediately. He took over power yesterday and starts, immediately, and he has started already. Immediately, he announced that subsidy removal. And people will now, sit down to look at how things will be done. Now, what he's supposed to do is to come up as he was announcing that he should announce his modality, the template he wanted to use for proper removal of subsidy. Because there was no time, just like I said earlier, that an announcement of subsidy removal will come from the president, and you will not see that same pattern of adjustment from the market. Remember that towards the end of former President Muhammadu Buhari's administration, he announced plans to remove subsidy, and that is the same pattern of reaction that we had. So there's no time that is right, quote and unquote, to announce subsidy removal that you won't see that kind of reaction. But what I just expect is for the president and his men to go to the drawing board and quickly announce to Nigeria the plans, the template they have for that subsidy removal. We understand that subsidy is not removed, cannot be removed, just immediately the president, make that announcement. And from his speech yesterday, you could see that what he alluded to, the fact he alluded to was that the budget he saw that was handed over to him, that was not provision for subsidy, and that his intention is not to ensure that there is a provision for subsidy during his tenure. And you could see that in the last 2 years of former president or the immediate past president Muhammadu Buhari government, subsidy is not was not included in the budget. They usually approach the National Assembly for an appropriation of that budget to include that separately. They have not been including subsidy in the budget in the last 2 years of President Muhammadu Buhari, and that is what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was trying to say. But fundamentally, he should now sit, and address Nigeria on the template he intended to use for that proper removal of subsidy, because you can't remove subsidy and not expect some people to profiteer from it. You cannot announce removal of subsidy and not expect, immediate reaction from everyone, because whether we like it or not, the firmament of Nigerian economy is, intertwined with that subsidy. There is not sufficient electricity. A lot of businesses, SMEs are connected to that, fuel, to power their generators. All economy, transportation, everything is, connected to that subsidy. So there is no way a subsidy will be removed based on that just policy statement without telling the people the templates you want to use in that removal of subsidy.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
I think
so you would expect
it's going to help. It's going to help a lot.
Yeah, I mean, so you would expect that, I would agree now with those people who said that it was pretty sudden and maybe not clearly thought about when he made the statement yesterday. What do you expect to be, the most or the toughest parts for Nigerians to deal with? Petrol stations are already selling for as much as 600 to 800 naira a litre. There's expectations that the price of goods and services will skyrocket. Minimum wage has not been adjusted in any way. So what do you think would, the next few weeks would play out like?
Okay, I don't know, maybe it's an issue with the mic. I barely hear what you have just said, but I could infer.
So what he's trying to ask is, what do you think will be the hardest part for Nigerians to grapple with? What are the expectations? What are the next few weeks going to look like?
Okay, immediately that policy statement was announced yesterday, we expected that kind of reaction, and it will get worse in the next few days. And I'll give you reason. The depot owners have already, shut operation based on reports yesterday. So what that means is that the fuel you see at filling stations, except what I'm saying now, changes in the next few minutes. What it means is that the fuel that are in the tanks of filling stations that are already shutting gates against motorists will dry up soon, and they will need to refuel by going to the depot. So the depots have shut their operations according to reports yesterday. Immediately that policy statement was announced, and their reason for shutting that is that they need to understand the market, because if you are a marketer or you are someone you are a seller, if a policy statement is made, you need to study the market to know whether the amount you will sell the stock you have will be readjusted. So that is what they are expecting, and they want to, like they have just said, they want to understudy the market. And the implication of that simply is that if immediately filling stations start running out of fuel, the situation is going to get worse in the next few days, except a miracle happens. You will expect the NNPC to come up and announce, the stock they have, maybe 45 days or 40 days, that has been the cliche, 45 days or 40 days stock that they have. But whether we like it or not, that is going to be that effect, except, every ant is on deck, everyone tries to support the government. But I don't believe the marketers and those that are ready to profiteer. I'm not talking about the marketers, but there are some of them that will immediately want to profiteer from this. A lot of them expect a situation like this. They expect crisis in the downstream sector, because that is what makes them to profiteer. So the next few days will be tough if care is not taken. The next few days will be tough if the president does not immediately announce the template, does not immediately hold meetings. Unfortunately, he doesn't have ministers now. Unfortunately, we have been told, there is no spokesperson for now. The list that was announced yesterday, there has been denied that list is not correct. So the president needs to, because of the announcement he made, needs to start work immediately. And this is we let him understand that there's a difference between that statement he made about subsidy when he was campaigning and now that has become the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Anything he says, there will be natural reaction to it. Whether to blame those that are reacting to it or not will depend on another stage of discussion. But anything that comes from the president, you expect a natural reaction. So he needs to now drag the NMPC, the NUPRC, former DPR, drag everyone, very closer and ensure close monitoring of those that want to soil or that want to, take advantage of that statement that he made yesterday. Normally, subsidy removal should be something that a news that is sharing to, all Nigerians. But you understand the country we live in. It is not a problem of the leadership alone. It's even a problem of the followership because there is a trust deficit in the market. Immediately anything happens, those that have fuel, have tank in their fuel, in their car, will want to go and queue up, and because they do not trust the marketers. The marketers too immediately sees that the number of people that were in the filling station yesterday, the number has increased. He will want to quickly shut his gate too because he doesn't trust people. He knows that they do not love him for coming to patronize him because of, he knew clearly that it's because of the crisis that people are coming, to patronize him at that, rate. So there's that trust deficit. So everything will still go back to the table of the president. I personally wish him well because if you understand, the politics of fuel subsidy, you will know that we all need it as a country. But you will expect a reaction of this magnitude and from the market, and you cannot blame anyone. You will blame the president for not coming up to make the announcement with clear statement about the template, about what will happen, about the date, about the time, about what should the market or the marketers should do, or about what he has already even done, the consultation he has made with marketers. He should announce, he should tell people that okay, I've consulted with marketers, they have this, they have that, they will not do that. He should, call the head of the marketers group, the labor union, and all of them to a meeting immediately and assure Nigerians of the palliative they have, because you cannot blame anybody at this moment. Because it's just natural that the market will react to.
Yeah, I just want to throw in a final question. Do you think it would have been better if this was phased out? If we had a plan, so between June and maybe August, September, we are going to do it in phases and eventually take it out, instead of just this
cold turkey approach.
Exactly. Olive.
I didn't get that question.
You're asking
it breaks anytime you.
We're asking if you think that this should have been phased out rather than us doing a cold turkey. So phased out maybe over the next 3 months, done in tranches and not just outright cold turkey removal of the subsidy.
Yes, because of the importance of fuel, petrol, premium motor spirit to everything about Nigeria. As you are seated there, I know, aside from other things that you are thinking, you'll be thinking about how you fuel your tank.
And you're very correct.
Thinking about, so everyone in Nigeria, is concerned about this matter. And I believe the president should do more, more than, just announcing that, just making that policy statement yesterday. I believe that statement should have come with, assurances to Nigerians. I believe that statement should have come with, steps taken so far. I believe that policy statement should have come with, phases of removal of that subsidy. I believe that statement would have come up with 10 warnings to the marketers that are, you want to, profiteer. I believe that statement should come with 10 warnings with Nigerians, with 2, 3, 4, 5 cars that want to go and fill up tanks of all their 3, 4, 5 cars at the detriment of people that do not have one, that want to just go to, to their work through public transport. I believe that statement should have come with stern warning to even the transporters that, who immediately an announcement was made, they have not even bought fuel, they have hiked the transport fare for people. So I believe that statement should have come with a lot of things. I know that, I wish the president well, but I know it's a litmus test, or what they will call the baptism of fire, for him to know now that any statement from him now is different from statement that has been making proud. I mean, during the campaign, anything he says now, everyone will react to it immediately. Anything he says now, it carries more weight. He's the president of the biggest, economy in Africa. He's the president of, the biggest exporter of food in Africa. I know that statement is not even being felt in Nigeria alone. It's being felt in countries around Nigeria that share the same border with Nigeria, where reports have shown that Nigerian petroleum products have been, smuggled into. So I believe, just like you have said, that the president, and it's not too late. The president should now, announce to Nigeria. It's not too late for him to make the first broadcast to tell Nigeria, particularly on this subsidy, to tell Nigeria on what they should expect.
Yes, Engineer,
to announce the same thing that I wanted to do.
We hear you clearly. In the interest of time, we might have to wrap up the conversation now because we've run out of time. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope that the president is listening and will certainly address Nigerians. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.